Hi everyone, welcome back to today's video. Ooh, I'm so excited to be filming my first video back. I can't wait. That was my excited dance, but I feel like because you can only see my hands, that probably looks kind of crazy. So let's pretend like I didn't do that, and let's jump into what exactly you're gonna need to make this card. So for today, I decided to do something really simple for my first card back. I've had this lettered board messages stamp set for a really long time, and I loved it when I first got it because I love the concept of the little message board, and they have some really cute sayings, but I never used it. So I decided I was going to take some time and make a really simple card with it that can be given to a friend, a family member, just somebody that may be going through a little bit of a rough patch. And something like this you can keep in your stash and just have, so that if something comes up, you have it and you can give it out to a friend really easily. So this is the card we're going to be making for today. For what you'll need, so you'll obviously need the letterboard messages stamp set. This one is really nice. With this stamp set, I would also recommend using your Stamparatus or some kind of device like this. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to it, but I would definitely recommend having a Stamparatus with this stamp set. Oh shoot, I forgot I did need, so as far as ink goes, let me grab, I'm missing one. As far as ink goes, you're gonna need basic gray. And then you're going to need Versamark. So those are the two that you're absolutely going to need. There are some flowers in the stamp set. And so I just took the flowers and I kind of stamped them and then cut them out and just put them in the corner as a little added detail. If you want to do that, it's completely optional. You don't have to. The colors that I used were blackberry and mint macaron. You're going to need your white embossing powder. For those flowers, I'm also using the Share What You Love artesian pearls, just as a little added detail. And then for paper today, so I have kind of a bunch of different stuff here. So for our card base, we're going to be using Petal Pink, and this is cut at 11 by 4 1/4. I have a piece of the Share What You Love Designer Series paper, and this is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I then have a little piece here of basic gray, and this is a 3 by 3 square. And then I have a piece here of Whisper White. Now this can be a scrap of Whisper White, so I'm not going to be using this entire piece here. The square that we're going to have, which is this square here, is about 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. The reason that I am using a larger piece is because I'm going to be using my Stamparatus with this, and I'll show you it works a little bit better if you have a nice big piece you can stamp on. And then we're also going to need a little scrap for the little flowers if you want to do that. So I just grabbed a scrap piece, as long as it is at least 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then have another little scrap, you'll be fine. But I highly recommend you using a larger piece of paper to start out with because it makes stamping a lot easier. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is stamp my letter board. So for that, I am going to be using the Stamparatus. So we're going to be using the large letterboard square. And the reason that I really do recommend using the Stamparatus with this is because it is a large piece. And so when I was playing around with this to begin with, I wasn't getting a very even stamp. So using something like the Stamparatus is definitely going to help that. So what I want to do is take my piece of Whisper White cardstock here, and I'm just going to push it up into the corner. Again, this is a larger piece than we actually need, so I'm going to set my stamp down. I'm going to move my magnets in a little bit closer just so that it kind of helps keep the piece of paper in place. Then I'm going to take it, push my stamp down. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take my basic gray ink. And then for this one, because it is a larger stamp, I like to actually take the plate off and put the stamp pad directly down onto the stamp. There's just a lot of surface area with this one, so you really want to make sure that you're getting it nice and covered, and as evenly covered as possible. That's the tricky part about this one, is the evenly covered as possible part. So just go at it. And that's why, like I said, that's why I like to use the Stamparatus with this, because it is a larger stamp. You are likely to get some splotchiness. So what you can do, I'm actually gonna stand up and press. You can stamp this over and over and over again in the exact same spot to get that nice, crisp, clean image. Okay, and then if we pull this bad boy up, see, splotchiness. So I'm gonna go at it again. And I may have messed this up a little bit because I put it in the corner. I should have moved it out a little bit. But we're gonna roll with it, and if we need to redo it, we can just redo it. Not a big deal. So now I know the areas that I really need to concentrate and apply pressure to, the areas that were nice and splotchy for us before. So I'm just gonna make sure I apply lots of pressure to this. Ooh, I have a dog that just jumped up to try and steal my chair. Okay, we're a little bit better. So now I just wanna get this area down here and like this corner. So here we go again. And that's the beauty of the Stamparatus. You can really go at it and keep stamping in the exact same spot until it is absolutely perfect the way that you want it. So just give it a little rubby rub. Make sure we apply that pressure. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna sit back down and get comfy. And one tip, so I was kind of mentioning it, if you actually move your piece to like the center, you get a more even pressure on the plate. I was silly and forgot to do that, so I ran into some issues, or that would also be something you could do over the top plate over if you wanted to. But regardless, we got our image stamped all nice and pretty, just like we wanted. So I am going to take my Stamparatus, put that to the side. Look, my card's falling down over here. Okay, so now that we have this, I want to do two things. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blast it really quickly with my heat tool. That's because we're going to emboss over this, and I want to make sure that this ink is really, really nice and dry. I am going to use my embossing buddy, but I just want to do this as an extra precaution first. So. Okay, so now that I've heat set that, I'm going to grab my emboss buddy like I was just talking about. And now we are going to grab our stamp set again. Okay. And today I'm going to use the sentiment that says, not to spoil the ending, but everything is going to be okay. And I'm just going to grab a block, stick that down, and then I'm going to use my Versamark ink pad and get that all nice and inked up. Oh, on a side note, I'm sorry if you can hear some weird noises in the background. I have laundry going, and then my husband is also watching a show in the other room, but we had to keep the door open because the dogs were freaking out because they wanted to go in and out of the room. Oh, they're a mess. So anyways, I'm just going to stamp this down in the center-ish, as close to the center as I can get of our little letterboard here. Then I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper and my white embossing powder. And you'll see here with using my embossing buddy and heat setting the basic gray ink, I get my embossing powder just where I want it, not anywhere else. Funnel that back in. Would you all believe me if I told you that I have all my embossing powders right here next to me. I've had these embossing powders for eternity. The only one that I've ever had to replace was gold, and that's because I did this card once where the entire back was gold embossed, and I did that for a card swap that I did, and so I had to do like 25 of them or something like that. But which I was just looking like, I still have so much, like a ridiculous amount of white embossing powder. It's crazy. Okay, sorry, enough of me blabbing. Now I'm just going to heat set the embossing powder, and yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I'm gonna heat set and melt the embossing powder, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now that that is nice and dry, I'm going to, or dry, I guess, set, I don't know what the right term is. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this little piece down. So all I'm going to do is take my, sorry, I was lining up. I'm just gonna take my cutter, and I'm just gonna line up, so on the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, there's like this little plastic piece here. I'm just gonna line up the edge of the letterboard with that piece of the cutter so that I know I'm cutting it even on all sides, since I'm not really measuring here. That'll let me know that I'm cutting it evenly, or as evenly as possible, I should say. That's always a trick that I do. If I don't know exactly how, like, the dimensions of something, I just find a line on my trimmer and I just use that for everything. So now that we have our little piece here, oh, I have a dog that's trying to now jump up on the desk. No, sir. I'm gonna set this piece off to the side. I'm gonna bring back in one of the scraps of Whisper White that we just had. I'm gonna get the little flowers from the set. Now again, this is completely optional. If you didn't want to add the flowers on, you absolutely don't have to. I'll assemble the card first, and then I'll show you what it looks like without the flowers, and then I'll add them, just so you can get an idea of if you wanna do that or not. But I'm going to grab my Blackberry Bliss and my Mint Macaron stamp pads. And I'm just going to use the edge of the stamp pad, and I'm just going to do one of the flowers in Blackberry Bliss, and then the other two in Mint Macaron. And I just think this is really nice. It just adds a little something to the card. But again, completely optional. If you're giving this to somebody that doesn't really like flowers, or that's not their thing, again, completely optional. You don't have to do this step at all. Okay, let me close up my ink pads so I don't accidentally stick my fingers in them, because that will happen. Now I'm going to do everyone's favorite thing in the entire world, and that is fussy cut. So I'm just gonna take my little Stampin', I don't even know what these are called, my little scissors here, and I'm gonna cut around. Once I cut around, so you'll see in the sample that I did, I actually cut out each flower individually. I am going to do the same thing for this one, and that way I can kind of cluster them together a little bit closer than they're clustered here in just the stamp. Once I do that, because these are super, super tiny and I'm trying to do circles around all of them, a little trick that I have, and it's not for everybody, it can be painful, it can be like nails on a chalkboard, which is why I'm going to do it off camera so you don't have to witness it. If you have any rough edges, or like a point where you really need to smooth it out a little bit more but you just can't get it with your scissors, if you take a nail file and just very lightly go over the edges, it actually will smooth it out and file off some of the paper. Again, it can be like nails on a chalkboard for some people, so I don't recommend it for everybody, but especially with these little tiny little detailed pieces, it does work. So I'm going to cut these little flowers out, make sure they're nice and smooth as best as I can, and then I will be right back. Okie dokie, so now that I have my 3 little flowers, I'm going to take our little pearls here, and I am going to put 1 pearl in the center of each of the little flowers. So the pearls colors don't match 100%, but they're close enough to where they really do make it look pretty. So, whoops, come back here, little buddy. And then 1 in the center of that guy. And then one more in the center of the purple one. The purple one almost takes over the whole flower, but it looks really cute. Okay, so now all we really need to do is assemble our card. So like I said, I'm gonna leave the flowers for the very, very end. For those of you that don't want the flower on your card, we'll do that. We'll assemble it without the flower so that you can see what it would look like. So I'm gonna start with our 3 pieces here. First being our little letter board. And I am just going to put some snail down and put this right on our basic gray piece. Then we're gonna flip this guy over and put it right in the middle of our designer series paper. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my base, my card base, and because this is a top folding card base, I wanna make sure I score my card base so that it folds really nicely. So I'm going to stick this in here and I'm gonna go at 5.5 inches. And I'm just gonna use my score tool a couple of times to score that really nicely. Now I can fold this. Let me grab my bone folder from over here. Okie dokie. Flip this guy over. And stick it down right onto my card base. Just like that. So again, very, very simple, very, very fast and easy. A really, really good card to just kind of have in your stash. So this is what it looks like without the flowers. Now, if I'm gonna add in the flowers, I'm actually gonna use my little mini dimensionals here. And I'm just gonna flip these little guys over. I'm gonna grab, oops, I got a hair in there as well. I'm gonna grab a little mini dimensional for each of these. These little baby ones are my favorite and they last forever because they're so teeny tiny. And even this little tiny flower, it'll fit on the back of it. It fits like just perfectly. Okay, now let me grab the backing papers. Whoops, that one's sticking to my finger. Oh boy. Okay, we're just gonna leave it there. Okay, one more. And now I'm just gonna kind of arrange them in this bottom corner over here. Maybe put that one right there and then this one right here. Yeah, I think that works. And I'm just gonna stick them down. And then that's what it looks like if you were to add in the little flowers. So again, super, super simple card. I really hope you guys enjoy. And yeah, I'm super excited to be back. Yay! So if you want to purchase any of these products, you can go to littlemooncreation.stampinup.net and purchase from there. I will also have a coordinating blog post down below that has all of the information on the products in a little showcase there and some additional photos. If you still need a holiday catalog, I know I am super, super, super late. I mentioned that in my video the other day. Then I still have a few that I can send out. So if you need one, absolutely free of charge, just let me know. You can shoot me an email, leave me a comment down below, whatever the case may be. And yeah, so I hope you guys are having a fantastic day and I will see you in the next video. Bye!